Chapter 1. The Girl with the Shifting Eyes. Dawn crept softly over the village of Serinvale. Smoke curled from cottage chimneys. Chickens scratched in the dirt. Somewhere a child laughed, bright and untroubled, as if the world beyond the fields did not tremble on the edge of something vast. In a small cottage at the edge of the village, Rose woke from a dream of fire and wings. Her breath came shallow as she sat up, pale hair spilling over her shoulders. For a moment, the room shimmered. Spoons rattled faintly on the table. A candle flared to life without being touched. In the crooked metal mirror beside her bed, her eyes caught the light. Silver. Pale blue shifted into silver, then slowly back again, like light moving across water. Rose pressed her fingers to her eyes, heart racing. The glow faded. "Just nerves," she whispered. "Just another day." She swung her bare feet onto the wooden floor. The cracked boards were cool and steady beneath her skin, grounding her in a way nothing else ever quite did. The pressure in her chest eased, like a breath she had not realized she was holding. Outside, the village stirred awake. Beneath her feet, the earth murmured. Distant hooves, the slow weight of wagons, the gentle pulse of a morning beginning. Rose always felt it, even when she tried not to. The world spoke through the ground, and she listened without knowing how. 18, she thought faintly, finally. She reached for her cloak, the familiar satchel waiting beside the door. Its leather was worn thin, patched and stitched more times than she could remember. Inside were bundles of dried herbs gathered from the hills, and a few pieces of bread she had quietly slipped away the night before. For the children, even now she could hear their voices near the orphanage gate, bright and eager. Something fluttered in her chest. Not fear, wrongness. Rose eased out of the cottage, careful not to let the old door creak. Morning air brushed her skin, cool and fresh, carrying the scent of dew and warm bread from the village ovens. Bare feet met the dirt path. The world greeted her in quiet pulses. Every pebble, every blade of grass spoke its place beneath her skin. The earth had always whispered to her like this, a language she had never learned but somehow always understood. Serinvale stretched around her in pale stone and moss-dark roofs, chimneys breathing smoke into the sky. People pretended not to notice her as she passed, though a few gazes lingered. One woman paused in her doorway, eyes flicking to Rose's bare feet before she turned away again. Rose did not mind. She had stopped caring long ago. The orphanage waited at the end of the lane, its gray walls worn thin by time and neglect. The back door sagged on its hinges, and she slipped inside as quietly as a shadow. The kitchen smelled of old soup and damp cloth. The children were already awake, sitting close together, their small faces drawn tight with hunger. When they saw her, their eyes lit up. "Rose," little Mira whispered, "did you bring something?" Rose smiled and knelt by the hearth. She opened her satchel and drew out the bread, still warm, tearing it into careful pieces. "Eat slowly," she murmured. "You will need your strength today." They gathered around her like sparrows, hands brushing hers as they took the food. For a few fragile moments, the world softened. Then the ground shuddered. A deep boom rolled through the village. Dust sifted from the rafters. The children froze, clutching their bread. Hooves thundered outside. Armor clattered. Voices barked sharp commands. Rose went still. "The king's knights. Stay here," she whispered. "Do not move." Her heart hammered as she straightened. The pressure in her chest surged again. Hotter now, brighter. The air tightened. For an instant, her vision flared. Gold. It vanished as quickly as it came. Gold was new. Silver had always come first. Through the window, she saw them. Rows of soldiers in white and gold armor marching into the square, banners rippling with the crest of the Order of the Sun's Vow. At their head rode a man with dark chestnut hair and a calm, noble face. Darius Kalen. Farther back, another knight watched with colder eyes, his gaze cutting through the crowd like a blade. Kale Renar. Rose turned back to the children. "Do you remember what I told you?" Mira nodded, under the floorboards. "Good. Do not come out until I call for you, no matter what you hear." She hid them quickly, sealing fear beneath wood and threadbare rug. Silence followed. Outside, the village held its breath. Rose pressed herself against the orphanage wall. Bare feet met dirt. The earth answered. Boots, horses, fear, and then warmth, a steady presence like sunlight sinking into soil. Beside it pulsed another rhythm, sharp and cold. She did not need to see them to know who they were. 2 sets of boots broke away, toward the orphanage. Inside, another rhythm stirred. The headmaster. She knew his step, the drag of his heel, the weight of a man who had never been kind and had no intention of starting now. Coins jingled faintly at his belt. He had always wanted this moment, wanted the king's men to notice him. Cold slid through Rose's veins. The earth told her everything at once. The children were hidden for now. The headmaster was nearly at the door. The soldiers were seconds away. Rose stood alone between shadow and sunlight. She moved before fear could root her in place. Bare feet skimmed cool dirt as she slipped inside, guided by the murmurs beneath her skin. 3 steps. A pause. Then the hall. She snatched a frayed wool cloak from its hook and pulled it around her shoulders. It smelled faintly of smoke and bread. It hid her hair, her face. Boots thundered at the front of the building. "Ah, good sirs of the crown," the headmaster's voice oozed. "Such an honor. You will find no heresy here, only loyal subjects." A half-filled pot toppled from the shelf. It shattered the quiet. Water splashed across stone. The headmaster spun, face blotchy with anger. "You useless girl," he snapped. "What are you doing skulking about?" Then recognition flared in his eyes. He bowed eagerly to the knights. The girl is simple, a burden. Odd eyes, I swear, but harmless. From beneath her hood, Rose felt them. Warmth, steel. "Enough," Darius said, quiet but final. When the moment passed and the knights turned away, Cale's gaze lingered. Not on Rose, on the headmaster. It was brief, assessing. The headmaster noticed. He straightened, fingers smoothing his coat, lips parting in a thin, hopeful smile, as if he had just been seen. Then Cale turned and followed the others out. When the room was empty, the headmaster exhaled sharply. "Do not think this makes you important," he muttered, already turning away. "You've always been trouble. Best pray the crown decides to take you with them." Rose said nothing. She did not need to. She freed the children once more, soothed them, promised safety she did not fully believe in. Outside, commands rang through Serinvale. Inside, fate had already chosen her. And Rose, barefoot, steady, listening to the earth, knew this was only the beginning.